I don't usually take part in these booktube tags, but there's one that I look forward to every year, and it's this one. The Mid-Year Book Freakout Tag. It's basically where readers reflect on the best and the worst and the most surprising books that they've read so far halfway through the year, and they share what they're excited to read next. Basically, I get to talk about books that I love, books that I didn't like, and just talk about books, and that's what I like to talk about is books. So this year, so far in 2025, I have found a few books that I absolutely loved. I've also been deeply disappointed by a couple of books that I expected to be some of my favorite reads of the year, and they wasn't. And so I'm going to be talking about all of that in this video. So let's get into the little questionnaire that's been made. The best book that you've read so far in 2025. So on this channel, I keep an up-to-date top 10 list that I update every month. At the end of every month, I switch it around a little bit. So some of you will already know what I'm going to say, but the best book that I've read so far this year, and it's currently holding the #1 spot, is actually not a book, it's a trilogy. And that is The Age of Madness. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, that's not really fair, you're not following the rules, you can't pick a trilogy as your favorite book, I can narrow it down and just tell you that my favorite book in the trilogy is The Trouble with Peace. I think this might be my favorite Joe Abercrombie book of all time. The book really exemplifies everything that I love about Joe Abercrombie. There's incredible battle scenes, there's excellent dialogue, there's dark and witty humor, really well developed characters, there's political intrigue. The themes, especially those about class struggles and how social movements can be twisted by opportunists, they're just woven throughout the entire book, throughout the entire trilogy, really. I loved it from start to finish. Most importantly, there are characters that I actually care about, which is always #1 for me in anything I read. I have to care about the characters, otherwise I don't care about the story. So yeah, The Age of Madness trilogy, incredible. Maybe my favorite fantasy trilogy of all time. So question #2 is, what's the best sequel that you've read so far in 2025? Unfortunately, guys, same answer. My favorite book that I've read this year was a sequel. So yeah, that's a nice simple one. The Trouble with Peace is the best sequel that I've read so far this year. New releases that you haven't read yet, but you want to. So this book came out a little while ago, and it's from a series that I've always really enjoyed, a very popular series, and that book is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is from the Hunger Games series, right? From fans of the Hunger Games, I've heard nothing but good things about this book. A lot of people are even saying it's their favorite book in the entire series, even better than the original trilogy. It's exciting. I haven't read the other one. What's it called? Songbirds and Snake Songs and Song Dogs. I haven't read that one. I feel like maybe I need to read that one first. That's about President Snow, right? So yeah, I need to read that one first before picking up Sunrise on the Reaping. But after seeing all of these positive reviews, it's got me excited to get back into the world of Panem. Haymitch was always my favorite character from the original trilogy. And honestly, I don't care what book snobs say. The Hunger Games is good. Like, it's good. It's fun storytelling. I enjoyed it. My most anticipated release of the second half of the year. So this one's really easy for me. It's The End of the World as We Know It, stories from the world of Stephen King's The Stand. So this one just feels like it was made for me. If you've been watching this channel for a little while, you probably would have heard me bring up The Stand. It's one of my favorite Stephen King books of all time. I would say maybe my second favorite Stephen King book of all time. If you're interested in seeing me rank all of Stephen King's books, there's a video all about that on my channel. I'll put it up in one of these corners, whichever corner it appears, if you're interested in that sort of thing. But I had someone on my Discord Valdez Jones, his name is, and he told me about this upcoming release, and immediately I got so excited. I had to double check, hang on a minute, is this real? Like, almost felt a bit too good to be true. So what this book basically is going to be is a brand new short story collection that is all set in the world of The Stand. None of the stories, as far as I'm aware, are written by Stephen King himself, but he has officially authorized it. He wrote the foreword, and there's a great lineup of authors. It's pretty stacked, to be honest. We're talking about S.A. Cosby, Josh Malaman, Ronald Malfi, Chuck Wendig, Paul Tremblay, like just a, a collection of some of the greatest modern horror and thriller writers, and they're all taking a swing at Stephen King's apocalyptic universe. I can't wait, man. If you've read The Stand, you'll know that it's just this perfect cocktail of horror and sci-fi, supernatural tension, and a lot of people compare it to Swan Song, The Road. As far as dystopian fiction is concerned, yeah, it's right up there with them. So I'm really excited to see how these authors get to play around in the sandbox that Stephen King has made for them. The thing about this book as well is it's going to be thick. It's 800 pages thick. It's coming out next month. It's coming out in August, and I've already pre-ordered it in a hardback. I know I'm paperback journeys. I prefer paperbacks, but it's going to take too long to release in a paperback. I need it on my doorstep the day that it's released, the day that it's published. I want it sitting there so I can have it. I must have it. What is my biggest disappointment of 2025 so far? So this one, oh man, this one hits me hard because it's from an author that I absolutely loved. I still love, present tense. I absolutely love this author. One of my favorite authors. And he released his first book of a new series. And unfortunately, everything that I love about this author seemed to be absent from this book. And that book is, oh man, I hate to do this. It's The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. No, Joe, what have you done to me, Joe? I went on a little bit of a rant in my monthly update of why this book didn't really work for me. But in short, like the shortened version of it is that there wasn't very much in terms of character development. I didn't feel that there were very many high stakes attached. So nothing really seemed to matter to any of the characters. There was a bit too much focus on action. Actually, no, let's have it right. There was way too much focus on action. Not a little bit. There was way too much for my tastes. Right. Some people loved it. So, I think it's sitting all right in Goodreads. It's above a 4-star. I think still on Goodreads. I'm just talking about for my personal tastes. Yeah, just too much action for me, and it felt like a video game rather than a book, and way too much banter. Right? Look, Joe Abercrombie's British. I'm British. British people love banter, right? I get it, but there's a limit. Every character in this book is like a joke machine. If you've ever seen Robin Williams do stand-up back in the 1980s, that's what this is. The characters do not communicate unless they're joking. That's the only way that they are able to speak to each other. Anyway, sorry, I'm ranting again. This book broke my heart. I was so looking forward to it. Will I pick up the next book in the series? Surprise, surprise, I will. I will, because here's the thing. I trust Joe, right? I love Joe Abercrombie. I trust him. I think he will bring it back around. And actually, let me just say one thing that saves this book. The ending. The ending, I think, was the strongest part of this book. It set up the next book in the series, I think, in an interesting way. And so I think this series, sometimes a series has a rough start, And I think that for my personal taste, this was a rough start to the book. Great cover though, phenomenal cover. One of the best covers that came out in 2025 as well. So yeah, just a little bit of a disappointment for me. I think because I was expecting so much of it. One more thing I need to add. The Devils, Brandon Sanderson's favorite Joe Abercrombie book. So, you know, who are you going to believe? Brandon Sanderson, the master of modern fantasy, or some prick on YouTube? Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't really believe anything I say. All right, anyway, talking about Brando Sando, biggest surprise of 2025 is The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson. Mate, I absolutely loved this little novella. A while ago, I read the Mistborn trilogy, and for me, it just didn't really hit in the same way that it seemed to for everyone else. Whenever I see lists of the best fantasy books, the books that you must read if you enjoy the fantasy genre, or, if you want to get into fantasy, this is the best entry to the fantasy genre, all those kind of lists, Mistborn is always there. It is universally loved. And so, I didn't hate Mistborn. I think I gave it like a 7 out of 10. Like 3.5 stars. But yeah, I just didn't love the characters really. And because of the universal praise, I think I just decided there and then that, I'm a little bit of an outlier. I just don't appreciate Brandon Sanderson like everyone else does. And I sort of made peace with it. But then I read this book. I loved it, man. The magic system. Mwah. The world building, mwah, the characters, mwah, all told in this tiny little compact novella. I read it in one sitting. I just couldn't put it down. It's great news as well, because I think because I like this book so much, I might start back and dive back into the Cosmere. Let me know if you're interested in me making a video series of reading each book in the Cosmere, by the way, because I am seriously considering it. That's a pretty rich vein to dive into. I might even reread Mistborn. Maybe I appreciate it in a different way now. All right, next question. Favorite new author? It can either be a debut author or someone who's new to me. In this category, I've picked someone who's new to me, but they've been writing for a long time. For me, it's going to be Jeff Vandermeer. I read Annihilation recently, and it was written in such a terrifying and immersive way. There's something about the way that he writes that makes everything so vivid in your mind, even when the things that he is describing are kind of like strange and ambiguous. So I think that's what really impressed me, because the landscapes, the creatures, the atmosphere, it's all deeply alien, very often deliberately unexplained. And yet somehow, even though something by its nature is indescribable, he's able to capture the essence of it so clearly. Unfortunately, I've been told that the rest of the trilogy isn't as good, which is a shame, but I'm still going to give it a go though, because I love this book so much. Newest fictional crush. I've got to be honest with you. I don't really get fictional crushes that much, but I suppose if I had to pick one, it would be Polly Gillespie from The Heart in Winter by Kevin Barry. She is a nutter. She is funny and scary and a little bit toxic. Exactly my type. Newest favourite character? This is also going to come from the Age of Madness trilogy, which maybe has 5 or 6 of my top 10 characters that I've read this year. I know a lot of people really love Savine, and I do as well. She's fantastic, but I've got to say my new favourite character is probably Prince Orso. He is hilarious, even though he's a little bit of a cad and he has a lot of character flaws, he is charming. He's actually pretty good at his job. when he can be bothered. He can't always be bothered to be, though. I just liked him a lot. I really, really enjoyed spending time with him. Question number 10 is, what is the book that made you cry? All of them. All of them. Next. No. I got to admit, I cry a lot when I read books, but I got a little bit choked up with one scene in East of Eden. But I've got to say, the book that made me tear up was The Green Mile by Stephen King. Oh man, that book is an emotional roller coaster. At one point, I'm feeling all happy and sappy. Then I'm absolutely raging. And then I'm crying my eyes out. Fantastic book. One of Stephen King's best books, in my opinion. Top 10 for sure. Top 10 Stephen King book for sure. Book that made me happy. I've got to give it to The Fellowship of the Ring. The Hobbit too as well. Yeah, but I just loved The Fellowship of the Ring. It's amazing to revisit all of those characters after loving the movies so much, growing up with them in my teens, and just having those movie-going experiences. Movies were just so good then, man. But anyway, I'm not talking about the movies, talking about the books. And Tolkien just writes with such warmth and affection for his characters, especially the hobbits. And I was just smiling the whole way through. I loved it. Question number 12 is favorite book to film adaptation that you've seen this year. I'm going to say Conclave. So what a film this was. When I was watching it, I didn't even know that it was based on a book. I actually found out afterwards. But yeah, Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, such a tense drama, fantastic film, one of my top 3 movies that I've watched this year. And I actually, talking of top 10 lists and stuff like that, I do keep a top 10 movies list as well that I update every week. So I try and watch a movie every week and I update that as well. But yeah, this is easily a top 3 movie that I've watched this year. And I watched it in like January or something as well. So it's holding firm. Most beautiful book that you've bought so far this year or received. This is so easy for me because I turned 40 this year. And so I received a very special gift that I'm so grateful for. It's actually, let me show it to you. It's this book right here. I've been showing this book a lot in my recent videos. And so I promise this is the last time I'm going to show off about it. But come on, man. Look, got the Iosaur on there. Gilded edges. It's like a golden mirror. So beautiful. I mean, this is the most beautiful book that I own. And inside, I won't go over it because I went over it in another video where I did like a book haul for my 40th. But you've got all these maps and a collection of other documents, a lot of stuff about the lore of Middle Earth and all that kind of stuff. Just so beautiful, man. So yeah, this has a prized possession on my shelf, and I keep it there, up there, just in the background, on display. I love it, man. And you can see up there as well, I've got a copy of The Hobbit. It's kind of like a similar edition to this. I don't know if I'm going to bring this video out first or the book haul video out, but either way, I kind of go into a lot more detail where I take it all apart and show you everything that's inside of it. I received a stack of books for my birthday, so yeah, I was very lucky. Question number 14, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? This is the hardest question because there's just so many books that I want to read. Off the top of my head, there's probably like 50 books that I'm so desperate to read next. But I think I'd like to finish the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. Definitely I'll be reading the whole of the Lord of the Rings. No doubt, knowing me, I'm probably going to read another 5 or 6 Stephen King books. Maybe I might even get into the Hollyverse during the autumn when it gets darker earlier and things get a bit more cozy. Might put me in the mood for a bit of a mystery, a detective novel by Stephen King. And some more Brandon Sanderson too, for sure. You know, maybe The Emperor's Soul is just a flash in a pan for me, or maybe I am a massive Brandon Sanderson fan. I just don't know it yet. Favorite video that I've made so far this year. So my favorite video to make every month is my fiction roulette videos, where I spin the wheel to find out what I'm going to be reading that month. Uh, that to me is just so much fun because I get to find out along with you what I'm going to be reading. And so, yeah, that is probably the most fun for me. But if I think about the video where I liked the end product the most, it's probably going to be the one where I made it recently, where I rank the Stephen King villains. People seem to enjoy that one. If you'd like to watch that video, then you can click up here. Halfway through 2025, things are going great. Let's see what the second half has in store for me. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And as always, happy reading.